Hey, everybody. Today we're back again for another movie list. This time we're taking on the 2000s. That's 2000 to 2009. And I've got my movie regulars, Shawn with us, Brian, AYBL Maine. Check his channel out. He's up to 73 subs and climbing, so he's on the way up. Hope he hits 100 soon. Brian, Shawn, how you guys both doing?
Doing good, Rich. Doing good,
Ready,
buddy.
ready to take on the 2000s, man?
Let's get her on, man. Let's get
And
her
we
on.
have a special guest, Mr. Trey Holmes in the house. Trey and his dad, of course, of reactions to the classics, one of the great channels on the BC, and they're kicking it out. Father and son team from Frisco, Texas, and they are responsible for the three of us even knowing each other and becoming friendly and being able to do something like this. So we have a lot to thank Trey and his dad, Shawn, for. And Trey, it's an honor for us to have you here. We really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a movie guy as well as a music fan. So thank you very much for being here. Talk about your channel, man.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thank you for having me, Rich. And it's so cool to be able to finally link up, and it just shows the how great it is in the modern day technology world, man. Because I consider all of you friends, even though we've never met in real life. It doesn't mean you you can't form a connection with people. And the support each one of you have had for RTTC has just really humbling, really thankful on my end here. And though it's a more RTTC, more that music channel realm, I can't wait to discuss movies. Got big into cinema during the pandemic as well, and kind of try to watch about a movie a day on average. But
Yeah.
I know all three of you are movie buffs, so I was telling y'all before we started, hopefully y'all don't outdo me too much here, man. But
Not gonna
I'm
happen.
very much looking
No.
forward to this, and it's going to be a blast, man. So thank you for having me, Rich.
It's great that you're here. And we love having the young perspective too, because us old geezers, we need that new fresh blood. We talked about that earlier. Anyway, great. And today, for everybody out there, we're going to take on our 6 categories to start, and we're going to go with action adventure to lead off. This is 2000 to 2009. And Trey, because you're the new kid on the block, you're going to lead us off. So
All right.
we're going to start at your number 5, work your way down to your top action adventure movie for this decade.
Sweet, man. Well, looking forward to it. This was an interesting category to go into because here I think this the 2000s decade really saw the rise of the superhero movie to, obviously, in the 2010s, the Marvel Cinematic Universe just took off, and for better or for worse in a lot of cases. But so I got a couple superhero movies in here. My number 5, featuring one of the best actors of the past however many decades, Tom Hanks, CastAway. I got at number 5 here. Just watched this movie for the first time last year, actually. Obviously a classic. I think Hanks really shines in this role, especially whenever it's just the scenes with him and old Wilson, man, the volleyball, just iconic Wilson there. And I think he shines, really getting the beard in there. And I'm always a fan of, I really love Lost, the TV show. I don't know if any of y'all saw that, but that whole desolate island scene and how I am going to survive. Right. And I think Hanks kills it, man. And a great little romance in there as well. So that's my number 5.
Good one.
Number 4, I'm going with a movie I saw in theaters. I would have been 7 years old at the time. Shout out to Lubbock, Texas, Cinemark back in the day. I got to go with the 2002 original Spider-Man featuring Tobey Maguire. And that's one that you have Raimi directing that. The best of this trilogy, I believe, that he did. Tobey Maguire, I've heard some not so great stories about him personally, but as an actor here, as Spider-Man, he plays that Peter Parker kind of, feeling himself out, geeky type of person quite well. And I think it works a lot better than a lot of other superhero origin stories that we saw in the coming years. He even got a cameo from the great Macho Man Randy Savage in there as
That's
well.
right.
In
The beginning, isn't it?
steel cage. So that's just awesome, and I think that they played that out really well. William Dafoe in it, fantastic in his own right. So I had to show some love to that. My 3 and 2 kind of connected here. Just absolute epics. I got Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers as my number 3, and then Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, the last in the trilogy, at my number 2. I can thank my grandmother for getting me into Harry Potter and also Lord of the Rings. I remember watching these in theaters, which as a whatever I was, 7, 8-year-old, 3-hour movies here. But it kept me engaged at that age, and I just rewatched them with my younger sister last year as well, and it really holds up. And Peter Jackson, just I would not have wanted to take this job on.
No way.
These set pieces are just so magnificent. So many battle scenes that are fantastic. I was reading about the computers had to run almost 24/7 to render all these battle scenes together. The characters are fantastic. There are a lot of allusions in there to literature and biblical stuff, and it all comes together in a great way. So I think that's one of the better action adventure movies of all time, honestly. But my number 1, I also, a lot of these I think are, as I think we'll find out, tied to those cinema experiences, especially as maybe in your younger years. I remember seeing this with my dad, Shawn, 2008. And this is one of my favorite movies of all time. My favorite fictional character of all time is Batman. So 2008's The Dark Knight. Love the Nolan trilogy in general. Of course, the late great Heath Ledger playing the Joker. Just one of the better performances. He won the Oscar for that. You have Christian Bale as Batman. He's my generation's Batman. All due respect to everyone else, And I just think this really showed that the superhero genre can be pulled off well in a mature way that also has great sound effects, lighting, cinematography, darker themes. Two-Face in there as well as a great villain. Just that push and pull, and I could go on with the Dark Knight for ages, but it still holds up to me. 5-star film. So those are my 5. Hopefully I wasn't too long-winded, but
it was awesome.
I enjoyed those, man.
You killed it. What a debut. Unbelievable. And you
Fantastic,
got
buddy.
some crossover stuff with me anyway. And some of your picks are on my list. So
great
job.
Can we switch up the order? So that way I don't have this pressure here. This is not fair, really.
You have to follow the legend now. You're up, Doc.
There's a new legend in town now, Trey, buddy. So that's very good choices, Trey. Very good. Action adventure, 2000, 2009. I'll just jump in with my number 5 right away. I'm going to start off with Mission Impossible 3, actually. I like this one. It stands out. I love 1. That falls in a different era for me. But 3, I think, is when J.J. Abrams is a guy that actually can hit or miss, I find. Stay away from Star Wars, JJ, you're okay. But, when you do Star Trek and you do other things that you're producing and different things like that, even Overlord and stuff later on are pretty good. But this one he was directing, and it was actually almost like a breakout for him. But I find like Philip Seymour Hoffman, the actual story, the action in this movie, it's pretty much nonstop. It's an action adventure movie, man. It's obviously got the espionage and all the different things going on in a Mission Impossible movie. I think it's fantastic. It's definitely a watch of that era, that decade for sure.
Okay.
That would come in at my number 5. My number 4 is going to come in with Gladiator. And I could have gone different ways with this. I just put it under this category. I'm going to find that on a few categories here as we go along anyway. So it's Ridley Scott. It's really good. The revenge and everything else, Joaquin Phoenix. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's really well done, man. It's pretty high-end movie making at that point, actually, if you want the truth. So
Phoenix steals the show on that.
Phoenix, but Russell's good. Russell's good.
Fine. Yeah.
But you're right. Joaquin is Joaquin's Joaquin, man. You know, yeah, you're right. He's a great actor. You know, we'll jump right into number 3. My number 3, I'm going back to a reboot of the Bond. I'm going to Casino Royale.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel Craig, baby.
Daniel Craig's debut as Bond. You know, Mickelson's in here as the bad guy. He's a great actor too, actually. So, and there's a lot of tense scenes in this movie. The action is fantastic. The sequences are awesome. It is a Bond action movie. It comes out guns a-blazing from like really when the franchise was on hiatus for a while, and you're happy to see it reboot it. And this is the way it comes back. It might be the best Bond movie. You know, I love Sean Connery, and Daniel Craig I think is fantastic. I think he hasn't done a dog Bond movie, if you want the truth. I even think Quantum of Solace is overlooked. I think they're all really good movies. You're getting what you expect from a Bond flick.
Yeah.
But my 2 goes back to something Trey touched on earlier. Now I just went with the 1, so you got to watch the trilogy to get to my 3rd, because it is the Return of the King from Lord of the Rings. So
okay,
I found that to be. I want to get the other guys in here to have a little talking points anyway. So, or else I would have went with 2 or 3 probably myself, if you want the truth, Trey. So, but
yeah,
number 3 I think is it's probably I think it's the best in the series to me. The way it ends, you know, it's they have a lot to go through, and I mean, you want to talk about high-end movie making, man. This is serious stuff. It's a fantasy and everything else that goes with it, but it's action and it's adventure. Pretty close to peak, but the one that takes it out at the peak is also my number 1, is Trey's number 1, which was The Dark Knight.
Wow. So, look at you guys.
It is, it's more of a movie. And I don't say this too often. I only said this one other comic book movie, but it's a movie with comic book characters in it. I like to put it like more along those lines. Batman is in, and the Joker are in a drama, robbery, you know, caper kind of flick, man. This is, it's movie driven before, you know, but the characters drive the movie, obviously. Heath Ledger does steal the show in one sense. Christian Bale is fantastic as a Batman. So he played the character really well. But, Heath Ledger is, that's one of the better performances of that decade. And
100%.
I wouldn't be surprised if we hear his name later on in a future list. But it's that's my action adventure pick of the year, of the decade for sure.
Outstanding. Brian, what do you have for us today?
Okay, number 5. I've got a movie written by Luc Besson. Kind of reinvented the action film a little bit. Gave Liam Neeson something to do for a while. I've got Taken at number 5.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
A lot of action, lots of action.
Yeah, a lot of action in that. I mean, once the MacGuffin hits, you know, once that phone call comes from his daughter and the MacGuffin hits, it's nonstop action from that point. So I've got that at number 5. At number 4, I've got Ang Lee's film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, good
kind
one.
Of a mixture of
mixture
of romance and martial arts. I think it's very good because it's the sword in it is called the Sword of Destiny, and like that kind of drives everybody's narrative in the film, and that everything centered around that sword ends up becoming their own destiny in a way. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, the attainment of this sword. So I really like that film. I think the battle scenes in it are just extraordinary. The cinematography is just fantastic. At number 3, I've got Cameron's Avatar. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it's just a huge adventure film. Really could, I mean, it could have been in the sci-fi category very easily, but I thought it was such a great, grand film that I could easily put it in here. The special effects are just incredible. You have to see it on the big screen. I mean, you can watch it on TV and it's going to be fine, but if you haven't seen it on a big screen, you're just not going to get it. It's got Zoe Saldana does a great job in it. Sam Worthington's the protagonist. At my number 2, I've got The Dark Knight. I've got Nolan at number 2. When I was talking to Rich earlier, I thought that for superhero movies, if you could remove the superhero element and if the story still stands, then that's what makes it great. And Batman and Dark Knight, unlike Superman, if you took Superman's abilities away, you got no damn movie. So it's like there's nothing else there. But in this case, there's a whole story there.
Yeah.
That even if you remove the fact that he was Batman and called him something else, or he was Joker and called him something else, the story's still good. So it stands there. My number one is it's a little known. It's not really little known. I mean, some people know it. It's a film by Joe Carnahan called Smokin Aces. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's just
I've never seen it, but I know the movie.
Same with me.
It's got
I've
an
never
all-star
seen it.
cast. It's about Buddy Israel, who's like this Las Vegas magician / showman who is tied to the mob, and then all of a sudden he wants to turn on the mob because he knows things, about them and stuff, because he gets into trouble himself financially. And then they put a massive hit out on him, and all these crazy hitmen from all over the country converge on Las Vegas to try to kill him. And it's this little combination of comedy and outrageous, characters.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Pine is in it as one of the Trimmer brothers, him and Kevin Durand, and they're just these outrageous guys with chainsaws and everything else that want to hack you up into little bits. And Ray Liotta's in it as a policeman. Common's in it. Joel Egerton plays this really quiet assassin. It's just it's a great funny movie. I just enjoyed it. I go back to it all the time because it's just a wild ride. So I recommend it if anybody hasn't seen it. So
I haven't.
No, I haven't seen it. I would say, Brian, if Superman wasn't in the movie Superman, I still say you could probably make one just with Gene Hackman playing Luther.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Well, I have to admit, I haven't seen Smokin Aces, and Avatar has escaped me too. And I went to watch it for this particular episode, and it's only on Disney Plus, which I don't get. So I missed out on Avatar. Sadly, I wanted to at least watch it to see if it cut the mustard, but I'm glad somebody had it. Anyway, as far as my number 5, it's a bit of a cheat. It's Quentin Tarantino's double bill, Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2, starring Uma Thurman and David Carradine and Lucy Liu and Daryl Hannah and Michael Madsen. The whole gang's there. That's a martial arts revenge picture. Part 1 is more of a bloodbath with the sword fighting and all that stuff, and Part 2 is more plot driven, better dialogue. The usual Quentin dialogue appears there, but as one, they were filmed obviously as a 4-hour epic. He divided it up. I think at least it's not my favorite Tarantino, but it deserves to be on my list. So that's my number 5. Number 4 is one that has not been mentioned, and I'm surprised because it did. It's a popular movie and it did a lot of box office. The Bourne Identity from 2002, starring Matt Damon. He's got amnesia, CIA kind of movie. He speaks several languages. He's awesome at hand-to-hand combat. He can handle himself. He's got multiple passports, a ton of money in the safety deposit box. Sort of mysterious because his memory's not what it was. He doesn't really know how he got to where he is, and they're sort of manipulating him, the CIA, as they do. And it's very quick moving. It's entertaining as hell. You got some good character actors like Brian Cox and Chris Cooper in this movie. So Clive Owen.
Clive Owen plays the antagonist assassin, right?
Clive
That's
Owen,
right.
he's excellent in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a girlfriend involved too, who may or may not make it through the movie. But anyway, it's quite entertaining. Doug Liman's the director, and he does a lot of these action flicks with Tom Cruise and Matt Damon.
That's nonstop action when it goes. That
nonstop. And to me, it's the best of that Damon trilogy. And then there was one later with Jeremy Renner as well. They're all good, but I like this first one the best. Number 3 on my list is an absolute classic, and it is a cheat because I have all 3 episodes of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They all have to be included. I mean, they get progressively better as you go, no question. Of course, the Tolkien novel, fantasy, Hobbits, Middle Earth, all that stuff. A huge budget. It's an ambitious project, to say the least. It's just 3 films for 3 straight years, 2001, 2002, 2003. His whole life was tied up in making this movie and bringing it to the screen, and boy, did it pay off. It's one of the greats. Number
Mhm.
2 is a personal favorite of mine. I could be in the war category, but again, Tarantino, Inglorious Basterds, so much action in this movie. From the opening scene at the farmhouse with the girl in the basement scene, and so much tense stress involved just watching that first 30 minutes. You know, Tarantino plays with alternate history as he sometimes does with the whole Hitler and that movie theater scene.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Brad Pitt is great as the Nazi hunter.
That's awesome.
He gets these guys together and they're all out scalping people and hunting them down. And U.S. Special Forces, brutal scene. That the basement scene in the tavern, the German tavern, is one of my all-time favorite scenes, where they're playing that card game with the words on their "Guess Who I Am," and everybody's having a jolly old time, and then sort of things go haywire.
3
becomes an old-fashioned shootout, man. Tarantino can build the suspense like nobody else.
Oh yeah.
And he's got that classic dialogue. Each character's taking shots at the other, and it's just very entertaining stuff. Even with the alternate history, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but you know, the Nazis get their comeuppance in here, and that's fine with me. So there we go. My number 1 is actually one that Trey had as his number 5, and that's CastAway. I think this is the best action adventure movie of that particular decade. Tom Hanks, what a performance. He carries the movie, let's face it. He's in every scene.
That's him.
And he
Was
just
Wilson nominated at all? No.
Wilson was
supporting actor.
I think he finished 6th of the 5 guys that got in. He was close. Robert Zemeckis, of course, he makes really good films. I think he flies under the radar a lot as a director. You know, you got Hanks as the FedEx executive, crashing over the Pacific Ocean and getting stuck on this deserted island. He runs into Wilson, part of the packaging that washes up on shore. He has an infected tooth that he gets out with a skate. Tell me that scene's not painful. Jesus H. Unbelievable. And then, of course, he gets rescued. I'm not sure how many years later, but he gets back to Helen Hunt, and she's moved on with her life. She's found a husband. She has a family. So you got the bittersweet stuff there. And of course, it actually literally ends. The movie ends with Tom at a crossroads in his life. And I think you know what I'm talking about, the crossroads there. He's, where do I go from here? So it's got everything in it. I love the movie CastAway. I'm glad Trey had it. And fantastic. So I think we really hit on some excellent films there. In the action adventure category.
Rich, you kind of kept us from going for the huge win on Dark Knight, though. I mean, we could have had, you know.
Here's the bold truth
the
on Dark Knight.
quadfecta.
I wanted the super trifecta, but I couldn't. The quadfecta, whatever it is. I just watched Dark Knight last week for the first time. I had never seen it. I swear to God, my wife and I watched it, and I liked it. It was entertaining. It's just I don't have the repeated experience with it to elevate it to the high points on my list. I mean, if we were doing 10, it would definitely make the list. But 5, these other 5 movies for me are a little bit better. And I do like Heath Ledger's performance. He's just dynamite.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
And I am a Christian Bale fan as well. I think he can do no wrong.
Yeah,
everything he's in is fantastic. So anyway, that wraps up our action adventure for the years 2000 to 2009. We're going to be back next time with comedy, and that'll be very interesting. So for my guests, Trey, Brian, Shawn, I'm Rich. I will leave links to the channels below. Please subscribe to Reactions to the Classic, AYBL Maine, and we'll be back with more films in our next segment. Thank you very much. Take care.